1898 Nelson murder. A deathly drunken brawl. On a Saturday afternoon in March 1898, two men, while under the influence of alcohol, commenced to quarrel outside the New Inn public house at the corner of Barker House Road and Leeds Road in Nelson. The participants were Robert Thistlethwaite, aged 21, a weaver of Barrowford, and Joseph Holdsworth, aged 24, a carter from Elm Street, Nelson. The pair soon got to blows, with Holdsworth seeming to be having the better of the exchanges. For a couple of minutes they rolled around the ground intent of doing mischief to each other. Then Thistlethwaite appeared to slink away and went into a nearby alleyway. Within a minute, however, he had re-emerged and without speaking suddenly dealt Holdsworth a blow with his fist, in which was concealed a pocket knife with its open blade. As Thistlethwaite turned to walk away, Holdsworth screamed out, "Oh, he's stabbed me!" and a number of onlookers went to the injured man's assistance. A local doctor who witnessed the incident immediately came to Holdsworth's aid and laid him on his back. Despite his expert knowledge, he could do little for the man, and within a minute Holdsworth was dead. Local constables were alerted to the incident and Thistlethwaite was at once detained by the officers. In his pocket was the blood-stained knife he had used, and he appeared far from sober when arrested. As Thistlethwaite was escorted to the police station, a large crowd followed behind. He seemed unconscious of what had occurred, and once in the station he sat with his head buried in his hands. The police decided that it would be best to wait until he had recovered from his bacchanalian stupor before making the formal charge of causing Holdsworth's death. The crowd outside the police station soon had something else to attract their attention, and this was the carrying through the streets of the dead body on a stretcher. The victim's clothing was terribly stained with blood due to the fact that the main artery in his neck had been completely severed. Holdsworth had been a fine, strapping fellow with an excellent character. Originally he came from Silsden in Yorkshire and was married with 3 children. The general opinion was that he had been averse to fighting Thistlethwaite, and it was only great provocation that made him want to settle the matter. Thistlethwaite, on the other hand, was described in less complimentary terms by his associates. Amongst his mates he was described as a regular do-out, and it was said he had contemplated violence on other occasions. A native of Colne, he had at the time of the incident been married for 18 months, being the father of 1 child, which was unfortunately blind. His marriage had been far from harmonious, and in fact, he had been convicted on 1 occasion for assaulting his wife. It also transpired that he had in the past remarked to his mates that he would end his days on the scaffold and that he would never die a natural death. These words must have been on his mind on Thursday, April 21, 1898, when he appeared at Manchester Assizes before Mr. Justice Ingham, charged with the wilful murder of Joseph Holdsworth. Thistlethwaite pleaded not guilty to the charge and was accommodated with a chair as the proceedings got underway. Long discussions and varying evidence as to the nature of the fight followed, and a witness stated that Holdsworth, who had apparently won the exchanges, remarked, "I'll let thee alone, I'll let thee get up." The prosecution outlined the circumstances that led to the fight, and according to witnesses, Holdsworth had approached the prisoner and made some remark about an assault that the prisoner had apparently committed on a friend of the deceased a short time before. The prisoner was then said to have remarked that he would do the same to him, and then a kind of challenge took place. The defense counsel reminded the jury that it is not every killing that is murder by a long way, and that before the prisoner can be convicted of murder they must be satisfied that he inflicted the wound maliciously. While not using drink as an excuse for the crime, he claimed that because of the man's condition through drink that no intent could be possible. At this point the judge asked the prosecution if, on the evidence presented, they wished to press the capital charge, stating that in his opinion he did not think it was a case of murder. The prosecution then indicated their willingness to accept a lesser charge, and the defense agreed that manslaughter would be more appropriate. The defense counsel then continued with his address to the jury, told them that the prisoner, being a smaller man than his victim, really thought he was in peril, and it was under those circumstances he used the knife. He remarked that Thistlethwaite did not deny musing the man's death, but that the circumstances indicated manslaughter a more appropriate verdict. The jury thereupon found the prisoner not guilty of murder, and Thistlethwaite was then formally charged with manslaughter. The jury were again asked for their verdict, and he was convicted of the lesser offence. Asked if he had anything to say, he replied, "I am guilty of manslaughter." His lordship, addressing Thistlethwaite, pointed out that this crime, like so many others, was due to drink. He then discussed the use of the knife and the assumption that he may have used it in his own defense, fearing he was in danger. However, he stated that he must make an example of him as a warning to others in a similar position. It should be a warning to others to avoid drink and to hesitate before pulling out deadly weapons. He then sentenced the prisoner to 5 years penal servitude. On receiving his sentence, the prisoner seemed somewhat surprised and relieved at his lordship's leniency.